So the next mantra of the Purusha Sukta we have to take up is mantra number 8. Tanjajnam barheshi praukshan purusham jatamagratah tena deva ayajanta sadhyarshayasjaye. That mantra we got to understand. So, agrataha jatam tam yajna purusham. What is happening here is we are trying to create the universe. But in this creation of the universe, what was there? Something must be there before the creation of the universe, because nothing can happen without a nimitta karana, without a efficient cause, and of course the upadana karana or the material cause is also inhering in Parabrahman, and therefore first thing that has happened is the Purusha, the original indweller, the inhering principle called Purusha, agre. Agre means before this mantra is taken up, before, that is jatam. Jatam means avirbhutam, manifested, because jatam means it will create a problem by if you say it was created. If you say it was created, what was there before? So it will get into an infinite regression, and therefore you have to interpret this word jatam as one that manifested. So this manifested tam agre jatam yajnam purusham. That which was created, which was manifested at the time of creation. Where have we got this reference? If you look at mantra number 5, in mantra number 5, the Purusha Sukta has already said, Tasmad viradajayata, kasmat. Tasmat means from that. Kasmat, from which? From Parabrahman. Parabrahman manifested tasmat from. Tasmat means, please don't understand, translate this as because tasmat also means because. Here tasmat means from the infinite Parabrahman. Virat ajayata. That Virat or the universal person Virat is the one who is in that. Virat is, who is that? That is the Purusha. That Purusha, yajnam. When you look at this word yajnam, yajnaswarupa purusham. That means a yajna which has got the swarupa. Swarupa means what? Form, characteristic. That Purusha, what they did, barhishi. Barhi means the darbhas. On the darbhas, they placed this being. It's all mental. So please don't misunderstand that they've caught hold of some object, some entity, some being, and then pushed it in. Because there is no such thing yet, because we have not created anything yet. So this is all mentally you are actually designing the universe. So Barhi, and Barhi means Darbha, and on that this Purusha is placed. Praukshan means they sprinkled and consecrated, and then Tena, from that form of the Purusha Rupa, Devaha, gods emanated. Now this Devaha, the gods who emanated, actually had two parts to them. One is called Sadhyaha. Sadhyaha means those who are capable of creating further creation. Sadhana Shilaha, those who are capable of creating further. Because first you must create the potential person. So the potential persons are Sadhyaha. And then another part of the Devata is the Rishis, of the Purusha is Rishis. So those who will be capable of further creation, Rishayascha, the Rishis, all of them, they ayajanta, all of them join together. Now you have the Purusha on the Darbha, and then you have the Devatas of two, one class of Devata of two kinds. Just like when you say humanity, there is the male and the female. Like that, just imagine all of us are human beings. But within the human beings, there is a classification male and female. Similarly, devatas, there is a classification called sadhyas and rishis. So these sadhyas and rishis together used this Purusha who is lying on this darbha, and then that Purusha was offered, because we have already tied him in the previous mantra, Abadhan Purusham Pashum. Now he is being used for the creation of the future. So this is it's a kind of a loaded mantra, so we have got to actually break this and bring this into a logical entity. So for a Pashu, for a Yajna, we need the Pashu. For any Yajna, we need a sacrificial entity. Sacrificial entity for certain yajnas is an animal. Sacrificial, when an animal is not there, what do you sacrifice? How can you call it as Pashu? It means that the creation itself is to be sacrificed. And this happens every single day, isn't it? I'll give you one example. Unless the seed sacrifices its form, how can there be a sprouting? And unless a plant sacrifices its form, how can it become a tree? Isn't it? So there you are not doing any violence. That is why yajna is not a violent act. Sacrificial animal means an animal which gives up its form so that it can grow into a more universal person. So that is the meaning of the sacrificial animal. So here the sacrificial animal called Purusha has the potential to become the universe, and that he can do only if he gives up his potentiality and manifests itself into the universe. And for that you need a process. What is that process? If something is not done through yajna or worship, then that process is violent. Any process that takes place through yajna is benevolent and a blessing for the universe, and therefore the same act, if done with yajna, it becomes benevolent. And therefore here they introduce saying that Pashu, the original Purusha, allows itself to become the universe by giving up its Purushatvam, its essence of the Purusha, only if it passes through a yajna process. So who can do the yajna? Yajna can be done only by a subset of the Purusha. And who are the subsets of the Purusha? The subsets of the Purusha are the Devatas. We will presently see the definition of Devata also. The subset is the Devatas. And these Devatas are of two kinds. One who is an executor, a manager, who is a hands-on person, who makes things happen. Then there has to be another part of the equation where the intelligent principle is provided. So let's take, for example, yourself. You are able to physically create something using your hands and your limbs, and at the same time you can dictate your hands and limbs with your intellect to create an object. So they are not two different things. Since your intellect and your physical ability, your physical dexterity are not separate from you, the individual, so you are a Devata. See the metaphor there. You are a Devata, your body is Sadhya, and then your mind, heart, intellect is Rishi. And unless you give up, unless you contribute, unless you sacrifice the ability of your body, and at the same time your thinking in the service of the world, in the service of the world equals yajna, then only you can create something. Otherwise, of what use is the person? So to drive home that value, this mantra introduces saying that this yajna was done by the Purusha by giving up his personality, becoming the Devatas, who gave up the personality and then by becoming Sadhyas and Rishis. What did they do? All these entities joined together and Ayajanta. They did a yajna. And because of this yajna, we have this beautiful world. And therefore, all of them are worshipful. Because at that time, if this had not happened, we would not be sitting here today and studying and contemplating. So a few definitions. What was born earlier was the Pashu. The Pashu, the materials and those who perform yajna must be assembled. How can you perform a yajna, a puja, without having a location too? How can you perform a yajna without an altar? How can you perform a yajna without bringing all the ingredients? You need to have the homa kunda, you need to have the faggots, you need to have the ghee, you need to ignite that, and then you need to actually offer it in the yajna. So you cannot sit there and then start saying that, oh, I forgot this, oh, I need that. You cannot do that. So you got to keep everything ready and at hand. So for everything to be ready and at hand, the participation of the entire family is essential. So how do they develop the harmony of all the families? So I said that they put this Pashu on top of the Darbha grass. So what they do is they take this Darbha grass and knit that into a mat form. So it's always placed on a mat. This is why you must have noticed even in our tradition, the food that is offered as an Naivedya is not kept on just on the floor as it is. If at all you have to keep it on a floor, what we do is we draw a mandala. In all Orthodox families, you will see this. So that mandala represents 3 layers of this mat, which is knitted from the Darbha grass. What are these 3 layers? Janaka, Janani, Putra. So the 3 layers are the father principle, then the mother principle, and the child principle. Those 3 are kept in 3 layers. On top of those 3 layers, the Yajna Pashu is laid. So that is why we use the mandala, or you keep it on something like a trivet. You create like a trivet with the Darbha grass. Then, so what are the things to be assembled? We have to assemble these Darbha grass mats, 3 mats. Then we have to have the Pashu. And then we have to have the Devatas who will become the Rishis and Devas, and the Rishis and Sadhyas. So all of them join together and do the yajna. So who are these Sadhyas? The definition is Srishti Sadhana Yogyaha Sadhyaha. Say for example the engineers who are capable of putting things together. Who are the Rishis? The Rishis are those who know the mantras, those who have seen the mantras. So the definition given is Rishayaha Mantradrashtaha. Rishayaha Mantradrashtaha, and then Sadhanashilaha Sadhyaha, both of them together perform the yajna. Then, so we said Sadhyas are capable of executing, right? Is it an ordinary kind of execution where our engineers are able to put things together. Right now, what happens? How does an engineer work? He has got a mentor, he went to school, he has got a teacher, and the teacher has taught the methodology, and you study every aspect of engineering before you can assemble some things together. But for the original creators, they don't have the know-how, they don't know what materials they want, and they don't know how to assemble whatever materials they have. Which means that they have to do something unknown, or in other words, they have to have the capability or capacity to do a thing that cannot be done. So another definition given for sadhyas is asadhya sadhana yogyatavantaha. Asadhya sadhana. Asadhya means that which is impossible to do. Sadhana, they have capacity to do that. Only such people can be called as sadhyas. The reason I mentioned this is otherwise a brilliant engineer may think that he is a sadhya. So therefore, asadhya sadhana shilas only can be called sadhyas. But then can we leave it at that? Now the question arises, how can I get that a competence to be able to do the impossible with unknown materials and with no know-how? Now the scripture comes back and says it is possible to do the impossible by means of tapas, by means of penance. This is why tapas is held in such high esteem in our heritage. To summarize, what is the purpose of tapas? Why should you meditate? You meditate because you get competence. Competence to do what? Competence to do the impossible or improbable. Because if we cannot really logically say impossible, because it has become possible, isn't it? We'll say improbable. And then, so without tapas, this is not possible. For tapas, what do you meditate upon? There's a very usual question people ask me. They say that everybody says meditate. Then people will come back and say, I am meditating. Then I ask them, what are you meditating upon? If you meditate upon something that you don't know, right? Even if you meditate till the end of the time, you will not know. If you meditate on something that you already know, it is a waste of time. So why are you meditating? So for that the answer is, you do the tapas with a goal of finding out your level, saying that, am I capable of doing this? Yes. So I want to do something of a higher quality and of a higher volume. Can I do that? So like this you go on raising the bar to discover where I can reach. What is the level of excellence that I can reach? So this is the meditation. So meditation is this raising the bar of our own excellence. You continue to compete yourself, and for that you need an input. So what is the input to keep giving you this standard, this moving standard? It is given by knowledge. And the repositories of knowledge are rishis. And therefore sadhyas are those who are capable of executing the impossible, and rishis are those who provide the content and the knowledge content. It can be the same person or it can be a group effort. And all this has to happen through rishajnane. That is why rishi, the word rishi comes from the root rishajnane, and thus who is a devata? So a devata is one who is endowed with knowledge and the ability to contemplate. That's why tapa alochane, as I have many times given you the root. So thinking, deep thinking, structured thinking, organized thinking, and then harmonizing and consolidating all that you have thought, and then using that in cross-disciplinary way. I gave you a pointer. When you are studying the Shiva Sankalpa mantra, you must immediately recall, oh, this fits in Kenopanishad, this fits here, this fits there. So that kind of study has to be done. So the next thing is praukshan. They use the word, they sprinkled. So one of the important thing is that nothing can become sacred unless it is sprinkled with water. So when you sprinkle with water, then it is only what we call as adi bhautika. So that is why when you do naivedya, when you offer to God, what do? You actually take a little bit of fresh, pure water and then sprinkle it, use the Gayatri mantra, and then with that Gayatri mantra, you will say, here it is to pranaya swaha, apanaya swaha, vyanaya swaha, udanaya swaha, samanaya swaha, brahmanaya swaha. This is the prana shakti. This prana shakti also means rishi. So every morsel of food you offer in yajna, it will go and embed itself in your jnana component of your personality. That is why consecrated food is taken as naivedya, as prasada. So this pranagnihotra takes place. In fact, you may remember that we have studied in Mahanarayana also. Shraddhayam prane nivishto mritan juhomi. Shraddhayam apane nivishto mritan juhomi. We have seen that in the Mahanarayana Upanishad. So a few other technical points also we will see. All the utensils that you use in yajna, that is the patra or the vessels, the sadhana like the ladle and the yajna kunda and the place itself, the havis or the ghee that you offer, the bali or the fruits and the cooked food that you offer, all of them have to be consecrated by sprinkling. And then how do you do that? At the beginning of the worship. That is why we take some water in our cup, and then we put a little bit of a flower, and then kalashasya mukhe vishnu kanteurdasmartha, etc. And then we will say evam gangadi tirthanyavakya puja dravyani devam atmanancha prokshya. So then I will become worthy of doing the puja, the altar becomes worthy of doing the puja, the environment becomes worthy of doing the puja. First point. Second point, I already said that the barhi or the darbha is knitted as a mat, and the three levels of the mat represent father, mother and son. And in Purusha Sukta, yajna is used in two senses. One is as the process of offering, as the process of the puja, and another as Vishnu himself. Because there is a dictum, yajno vai Vishnu. Yajna and Vishnu are synonymous. So yajna must be applied to Vishnu. Then whenever you come across in Purusha Sukta the word yajnena, for example, yajnena yajnama yajanta devaha. So yajnena by means of devotion. There yajnena means devotion, bhakti. Bhaktya, yajnena bhaktya, yajnam vishnum, yajnena yajnama yajanta, ayajanta, worshipped, who? Devaha. Who are the devas? Sadhyas and rishaya. So that's the next point. Then who are the devatas? The devatas have got at least four qualifications. Danat, because a devata is known for generosity. You worship and you ask for a favor, you will get it. Danat devaha. Second etymology is Deepanat devaha. That means he is self-luminous. Then Dyotanat devaha, capacity to illumine others. Then Dusthanat devaha, because he is resident in the space or heaven. Sadhyaha, actually they are supposed to reside in the Bhuvarloka. So Bhuhu, human beings are there. Suvaha, gods are there. Bhuvaha, all these Adhyas are there. This is Adi Daivikam. See, because we always have to analyze by Adi Bhautika, Adhyatmika and Adi Daivika. So, because these sadhyas and rishis were part of this yajna, Prajapati, the creator, was able to create. So now you can connect this to the Puranas as to how the Prajapati, Chaturmukha Brahma can create. So, before all this, what was there? This question was raised in the Shatabata Brahmana, and they said, Asadva idamagra asid. Only unmanifested state all this was there. Then they asked a counter question, Tadahuhu kim asat? They asked, what is this asat? Then that you said was there. Then this question arose also, who are those rishis? And for all of these, the reply came, Pranava Rishayaha, life force is the rishi. What is that distinguishes creation? That everything is created. What is one single definition? It is because there is life force. If there is life force, prana, there is creation. Where there is no life force, there is no creation. So how did they create? Shramena, tapasa. Shramena by means of effort, tapasa by means of thinking. All these happened. So labor mixed with thinking is the yajna that is spoken of in this mantra. Continue in the next class.